Imagine you are standing in your basement in 1963 in the heart of Turkey's Nevşehir province. You are doing a simple renovation, perhaps trying to expand a wall to make a bit more room for storage. You swing a heavy sledgehammer, and with a dull thud, a section of the stone wall crumbles away. But instead of finding dirt or a foundation, you find a dark, empty space. You grab a flashlight, your heart racing with a mix of fear and curiosity, and you crawl through the gap. You find yourself in a narrow, hand-carved tunnel that leads deeper into the earth. You walk for 5 minutes, then 10, passing through small rooms and past strange, circular stone doors. You realize that you haven't just found a hidden room. You have stumbled upon a gateway to an entirely different world. This is not a legend or a ghost story. Or this is the true account of the discovery of Derinkuyu, an ancient underground city that plunges over 85 meters into the soft volcanic rock of Cappadocia. To truly understand why 20,000 people would choose to live like moles in the dark, we first have to look at the ground beneath their feet. Millions of years ago, this part of the Anatolian plateau was shaped by violent volcanic eruptions. Thick layers of ash settled over the landscape, eventually compressing into a soft, porous rock known as tuff. For thousands of years, wind and water carved this tuff into the bizarre, towering shapes we now call fairy chimneys. But the ancient people who arrived here realized something much more important than the beauty of the landscape. They realized that this rock was soft enough to be carved with simple metal tools, but yet strong enough to support massive structures once it was exposed to the air and hardened. This unique geology was the canvas upon which one of the most incredible engineering feats in human history was painted. As you descend into the first level of Derinkuyu, you aren't met with a cramped cave, but with a highly organized urban environment. The first few floors were the lungs and the pantry of the city. Here, archaeologists found massive stables for livestock. By keeping the animals on the upper levels, the inhabitants ensured that the smell and the waste could be managed more easily, while the heat from the animals' bodies actually helped provide warmth for the rooms above. Moving further in, you find enormous circular vats carved into the floor. These were for pressing grapes into wine and olives into oil. But it is a fascinating detail that even when these people were hiding for their lives, they refused to give up the comforts of their culture. Wine was not just a luxury, it was a way to keep morale high during the long, dark weeks spent underground. But how did 20,000 people breathe? This is where the genius of ancient engineering truly shines. The city is equipped with over 15,000 small ventilation ducts that reach the surface. But the core of the system is a series of massive main shafts that descend through every single level. These shafts served a dual purpose. First, they acted as a natural air conditioning system, utilizing the pressure difference between the cool underground air and the warm surface air to create a constant, refreshing draft. Second, these shafts functioned as wells, as they reached deep into the water table, providing a secure water source that could not be poisoned or cut off by an enemy on the surface. The wells were designed so that the opening was only accessible from within the city, making it an unhackable life support system. The security of Derinkuyu was its primary reason for existence. The region of Cappadocia was a crossroads of civilizations, meaning it was also a highway for invading armies. Whether it was the Phrygians, the Persians, or later the Arab armies during the Byzantine-Arab Wars, the local people were constantly under threat. Their solution was to simply vanish. Within a few hours, an entire community of 20,000 people, along with their sheep, goats, and cows, could retreat into the tunnels. To protect themselves, they developed the rolling stone doors. These massive circular stones, some weighing over 500 kilograms, were placed in grooves along the tunnels. From the inside, a few men could easily roll the stone into a locking position, sealing the corridor completely. From the outside, there was no way to pull the stone back, and the tunnel was too narrow to use a battering ram. It was the ultimate ancient panic room, repeated on every level and in every major corridor. As you go deeper, reaching the third and fourth levels, the atmosphere changes. This was the social and intellectual heart of the city. Archaeologists discovered a large room with a vaulted ceiling that served as a religious school. You can still see the stone benches where students would sit to learn. There are churches carved in the shape of a cross, with altars and baptismal fonts, proving that life underground was not just about survival, but about maintaining the fabric of their society. They didn't just want to stay alive, they wanted to stay human. They had libraries, communal kitchens with massive hearths, and even small cemeteries. Because they couldn't always go to the surface to bury their dead during a siege, they carved temporary tombs into the walls, sealing them until it was safe to move the bodies outside. The logistics of daily life in such a place are staggering to contemplate. Lighting was provided by small linseed oil lamps placed in niches carved into the walls. The flickering orange light would have cast long, dancing shadows, and the air would have been thick with the smell of oil and the sound of thousands of people whispering in the dark. For sanitation was managed through a system of clay pots and dry toilets, and food was stored in deep, cool pits that acted like natural refrigerators. The temperature underground remains a constant 13 to 15 degrees Celsius year-round, which was perfect for preserving grain and dried meats, but it would have been a damp, chilling environment for a human being to live in for months at a time. We must also consider the psychological toll of this existence. Imagine being a child in Derinkuyu, knowing that just a few meters above your head, an invading army is burning your village, yet you must remain perfectly silent in the dark. The lack of sunlight would lead to vitamin D deficiencies, and the constant threat of discovery would create a state of perpetual anxiety. Yet, the evidence suggests that they lived this way for generations whenever danger approached. They were a people who chose the safety of the earth over the uncertainty of the surface. The question of who originally built the city is still a matter of heated debate among historians. Some believe the first levels were dug by the Hittites over 3,000 years ago as they fled from the invading sea peoples. Others credit the Phrygians, who were known for their incredible stone-cutting skills. However, the most significant expansion happened during the Byzantine era. Between the 7th and 11th centuries, the underground cities of Cappadocia became a massive network of interconnected refugees. There is even evidence that some of these cities were connected to each other by tunnels miles long, creating a subterranean highway system that allowed people to move between settlements without ever being seen by the enemy above. When we look at Derinkuyu today, it is easy to see it as a primitive relic of a dark past. But in our modern world of concrete jungles and rising temperatures, the wisdom of these ancient builders is becoming relevant once again. They understood how to work with the earth rather than against it. They knew how to use thermal mass to regulate temperature without a single watt of electricity. They knew how to create high-density living spaces that were invisible to the world. As we face a future of extreme weather and environmental challenges, perhaps the secret to our survival isn't building higher into the sky, but looking back down into the cool, silent depths of the earth. Derinkuyu stands as a monumental testament to human resilience and ingenuity. It tells the story of a people who refused to be conquered, who turned a geological curiosity into a fortress of hope. It reminds us that when humanity is pushed to the limit, we don't just find a way to survive. We build a masterpiece. So the next time you walk over a patch of dry, dusty earth, take a moment to wonder what might be beneath your feet. Because sometimes, the most incredible stories are the ones that have been buried in the dark, waiting for someone to knock down a wall and find them. This city of 20,000 souls reminds us that even in the deepest darkness, the human spirit continues to shine, carving out a place for itself against all odds. Now, creating a legacy that can withstand the weight of a mountain and the passage of thousands of years. It is a silent city, but its walls speak volumes about who we are and what we are capable of when our world is on fire, and the only way out is down. From the sophisticated ventilation to the ingenious defense mechanisms, Derinkuyu is not just a cave. It is a miracle of the ancient world that challenges our understanding of history and invites us to rethink our relationship with the planet we call home. We are only just beginning to uncover its secrets, and as we go deeper into the rock, we go deeper into the mystery of our own survival. It is a journey that began with a single hammer blow in 1963 and continues today, as we realize that the most advanced technology of the future might actually be hidden in the dust of our very distant past. And such is the power of the underground world of Cappadocia, a place where time stands still and the echoes of 20,000 lives still resonate through the cold, carved stone. It is a place of shadows, but for those who lived there, it was the only light they had in a world of war and fire. And as long as these tunnels exist, their story will never truly be forgotten. It is a story of faith, fear, and the incredible things we do to stay alive when the sun becomes our enemy and the earth becomes our only friend. This is the legacy of Derinkuyu, the city that refused to die.